Marty Halloran, certified public accountant, been in business 34 years, been here 14, primarily income tax work, bookkeeping work for small businesses.
Marty's buyer journey began from Chicago, which is where he was living, and I don't know for what reason, for one reason or another, he decided he wanted to move to the southeast, and he purchased a firm from us in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And then 7 years later, he purchased another firm through us in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is in the Charlotte vicinity.
Part of that was back in Illinois when I left the CPA firm I worked for out of college. I went to work for a financial planning company, so I was pretty well self-employed at that point. So building up my own clientele, enjoyed doing that a lot. But they wanted more financial planning emphasis, and I wanted to go back to more just pure accounting and tax work. And at the same time, it was time to get out of the Chicago area, so I was looking for a practice somewhere else to purchase. And then I found Brannon Poe with his group that had practices all over the country. So you could click on their website, look at practices, they give you a short little description. If it was the type of CPA practice you wanted to investigate, you could sign a non-disclosure. They'd send you some generic information. And if you were more interested than that, then you would have to go travel and kick the tires and talk to the current owners. Him and I have kept in contact over the 14 years. There's been potentially other smaller firms that he's had available, that he's shown me. None of those actually worked out, but out of the blue, 7 years ago, he contacts me and he says, "Hey, I have a business for you to buy." Apparently, he had been talking to the owner of that payroll company for a couple of years, who was himself getting ready to retire, and unfortunately died of a heart attack. And so Brannon had gotten a hold of me in the summer 7 years ago and said, "You know, this is a really good business. The widow is not involved. The staff is great. They're keeping everything together, but we really need to get somebody in here to take control of it. And I think you could be the person to do that." And I thought he was crazy, but he sent me the financial information, very attractive. It was a good price to purchase it. And I had a staff accountant who has been with me 13 years, who has gone down to run that business for me. Him being involved in the process of walking me through it and honestly helping the widow through the process, she was able to get good value for the business instead of it just disintegrating. And those folks got to keep their jobs, and now I have another asset in my portfolio.
From the conversations I've had with him after the sale, Marty is doing really well with both of these purchases. He has synergized, so I think he's gotten some best practices. The nice thing when you buy a firm, there are going to be some good habits and good practices from the previous owner, and so if you can adopt those and combine them with future acquisitions, you just get better and better. And I think he's done a good job of adopting those good habits and synergizing them with his other purchase.
There's a lot of business owners that, depending on their field of expertise, are always looking to see if there's a business to buy. And for a lot of industries, there's not a cohesive place to go, a marketplace to look. And what Brannon Poe and his group does is they do that for the accounting world. They bring in just accounting practices or payroll or financial stuff. He's not a business broker that just sells any business that's out there. So his expertise as a CPA himself, he knows the industry. He knows how it works. He knows how to price it correctly. He knows how to take the emotions out of the deal for the buyer and the seller. And again, he's been a very ongoing relationship with him. Brannon talked to me again a couple of weeks ago and said, well, how are things going in the CPA practice? I said, great. I mean, you know, it's always stressful this time of year, but that's what you expect. And somewhere down the road, I'm going to retire. And there's absolutely nobody else that I'm going to help me sell the business than him. I wouldn't even think about doing it on my own.